Surprise, Arizona is one of those cities that is just simply not talked about enough. It is a beautiful area, but every area has their pros and cons. If you've been interested in moving to Surprise, Arizona, or you've never even heard about it and want to learn more, go ahead and keep on watching this video. Welcome back to Phoenix Living. I'm Nicole Baker. Today we're going over exactly that, but before we get started, you guys know the drill. I gotta let you know, I am a licensed realtor here in this beautiful state, so if you've been interested in relocating to the Phoenix, Arizona area, you're going to want to reach out. My number and email are popping up. If you're not quite ready to reach out yet, no problem. Go ahead and subscribe. Post videos every Monday and Thursday about the relocation process and all the beautiful Phoenix suburbs and what you need to know about them. So go ahead and subscribe, like I said, but let's get started in today's video. All right, starting this video off on a positive note, like I mentioned in the very beginning, Surprise is very beautiful and has a lot of pros. One of those pros is just going to be proximity to literally everything that you would possibly need proximity to, right? So granted, okay, that was a little bit dramatic. Not everything, but you have proximity to the things that you're gonna need on a daily basis. So unlike Buckeye, where you're a little bit further out from everything, Surprise definitely has literally everything that you could possibly need besides being close to maybe the Phoenix airport and Phoenix in general, right? So those are the things you're not going to be super close to. So I'll talk about that in the con section, but you have everything like your grocery stores, your food places, fun activities, date night spots. The mall is super close and you're really close to different freeway accesses. So all of these things are super important for people like me who find themselves never eating at home. I'm definitely a big homebody. I think if you guys watch my videos, you know that by now, but it's still not enough to just have like one or two restaurants because I do eat out so often, which is such a bad habit. But like I said, if you guys are like me, you already know that. So I like to have different options when it comes to different food places and date nights and fun activities in general. Like I don't have a lot of fun activity days, but for people that have families and they want to be able to get out on the weekends with their kids or whatever, it's really nice to be close to things like the mall or like, you know, mini golf or a golf course in general or movie theaters, things like that, that kind of allow you to have fun on the weekends or even weekdays, depending on what kind of person you are. Me, also, I have to have close access to my coffee, so Starbucks is a must. There's a couple different Starbucks in that area. It is a pretty large area overall. So I would say the pro of Surprise is proximity when it comes to like your normal everyday stuff and even some of the things that you might want to do on the weekends. So let's get into that con that I was talking about when it comes to the proximity of everything else. Proximity to the Phoenix airport, and when I say Phoenix airport, I mean like the main, yeah, it is called the Phoenix airport. I'm like, what is it called again? Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. That's the only airport I've ever gone to. I know that they have different airports that are like a little bit smaller, like the Mesa airport if you live in the, if you want to live in the East Valley. Those are options. I usually stick to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, which I think most of the people in Arizona do. I live in Goodyear / Avondale, and I'm about a 30-minute drive. When you hit Surprise, I'm gonna pop up a map so you guys can see exactly where Surprise is located, especially compared to the airport and just downtown Phoenix in general. You are pretty much gonna be at least a 45-minute drive, I would say, between It depends on where in Surprise, because Surprise is pretty large in general and could span past the 303 depending on how you look at it. So like I said, I'll pop up a map so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. But let's just say we're talking about the main part of Surprise where all the shopping is and things like that. You're probably going to have a 45-minute drive with no traffic down to the airport slash, you know, downtown Phoenix in general. Sometimes that's just gonna be a little bit too far for people. The thing that doesn't work for me about Surprise and the location, granted, I'm willing to drive a little bit further for a beautiful neighborhood, and Surprise definitely has those. So when we talk about housing, we will go more into detail about the type of housing that Surprise has to offer that's a little bit different than other areas. But it's a little bit too far for me to be able to hop onto the I-10 and kind of go anywhere and everywhere throughout the valley, especially if you see yourself going to the East Valley often, like Chandler, Scottsdale, places like that. It might be a little bit further, depending on where in Scottsdale. If you're in the north end of Scottsdale often, it might not be too bad because you can take the 101 all the way around and kind of avoid all that traffic. I have a client who is working kind of like North Phoenix, downtownish area, and he has about a 30-minute drive, which with the house that he's looking at right now. So we always kind of cross-reference maps and making sure that the time makes sense, right? Because we don't want an hour drive to work every single day, especially if you're trying to get less time for travel between work times, right? So anyways, that really worked for him, and that was kind of near Surprise. So that just depends. But before, he was traveling on the I-10. I-10 is super, super packed. You won't have to travel on the I-10 as much. So again, maybe this isn't necessarily a con, but a double-edged sword, if you will. My next pro about Surprise is the housing. The housing is, some portions we'll say, are more unique than other areas in the valley. So that's something that I really like. Like the West Valley has a lot of tract homes, very standard style, like a lot of new builds where they kind of all look quote unquote cookie cutter, right? Like I don't have a problem with cookie cutter. I'm all about cookie cutter. I love new builds. You guys will hear me say that a million times, is I really do enjoy a new home, but not everyone does. So the thing I like about Surprise is they have two neighborhoods really that are called, one's called Marley Park. Marley Park is absolutely stunning, and it has homes that do have that more unique style and aren't exactly the same. I'll go ahead and pop something up on the screen right now so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about how they look just a little bit different. They have a little bit more character, and granted, it's still definitely in a suburb where a lot of homes do look similar, but they have a little bit of a flair to them that you don't typically see in an Arizona neighborhood. Another neighborhood that kind of reminds me of this is parts of Verrado, which is considered Buckeye, just north of the 10. And I've done a video about that in the past, but the biggest difference between those two are gonna be the price points. In Surprise in general, not specifically that neighborhood, because it is a very loved neighborhood and people do like to move into that area a lot. But in Surprise in general, you're probably looking at to start around $425, which is actually quite affordable compared to some of the other neighborhoods, and it's slightly more expensive than Buckeye. So if you've been thinking about Buckeye and Buckeye's just like a little bit too far out there, doesn't have all the amenities that you're looking for, Surprise, if you can bump up the budget just a little bit, Surprise would be definitely a good spot to look because it is one of the more affordable places to look. And also, like I always say too, is just as you move away from the main hub of Phoenix, it typically gets a little bit more and more affordable. Not always, right? So like there's always those custom homes that might have been in Surprise that are not going to fit that average price point. But I would say on average is, if you move out from Phoenix, you're going to get a little bit more affordable. The other thing about the Surprise housing that I love is it's a mixture of literally everything that you could possibly want. So it has older homes, it has newer homes, it has homes with land, it has new builds with RV garages. I get questions about RV garages Constantly, it is something that people really, really want when they move here. There are options for that. There's new homes that do carry RV garages and they're pretty cool. So I will again pop up some of that footage for you guys to see, just so you can see, like, if you've never seen an RV garage that's actually attached to a brand new home. Those are really, really cool. And especially even if you don't have an RV garage, I mean, I've seen people do some really cool things, like a super sick home gym would be really fun in those areas. Your boat, if you're a really big car guy and you have one of those, like, what are they called? Hydraulic lift? Comment down below if I got that right. I'm pretty sure I did. I've seen those in some people's garages. Either way, it's a pretty cool feature to have, and typically RV garages are gonna run you about $60,000 on average to add into your backyard if your HOA even allows you to add an RV garage. And I have a lot of people say, I don't want an HOA, I don't want an HOA. Unfortunately, majority of homes in Arizona are going to have an HOA, not all of them, right? So just dependent. If that's super important to you, message me and I will send you guys some of the places that you want to specifically look for if you're looking for homes without an HOA. But those new homes with the RV garages are probably going to run you around $620-ish, give or take, depending on how fancy the inside of those homes are, like I mentioned. But it's stunning. I said they have older homes, they have newer homes, they have townhomes in there. Lots of good options, and it's still growing, which is crazy. You would think it wouldn't have any more room to grow, but like I said, it's just continuously expanding. So I think now would be a really good time to get into Surprise. Another really big con, depending on where you live in Surprise, that I almost forgot to mention is going to be loud jet noises and train noises. So if you are unfamiliar with the West Valley in general, not just Surprise, but some parts of Goodyear, some parts of Litchfield Park, yeah, pretty much those are gonna be your main spots where you're going to hear the jets from Luke Air Force Base. They're loud in Surprise. Most of it is going to be in the flight path for the jets. So it does get really, really loud. Again, I'm a native, so this is why I almost forgot to mention it. It's just like, I don't even hear the noises anymore. I've lived in pretty much every single neighborhood, it feels like, in the Goodyear, Avondale, Litchfield Park, which is about 5 minutes away from Luke Air Force Base. If that is really important for you, if you're stationed there, you're going to want to consider definitely Surprise, Goodyear, Avondale, Litchfield Park, parts of Buckeye. That might be a little too far depending on what you're thinking you want to do. So anyways, point being is they're loud and they can be obnoxious. They definitely go away after a while. It's not like every single day you're gonna hear super loud jets, and also super dependent on that house and where it's located. That is why the seller disclosures are super important, because they will mention that they can hear jet noises and or the train. There is a train that kind of cuts across Surprise and Sun City. Sun City is a 55+ community, or I would say, like, yeah, it's a city. It's a 55+ city. It's not even just like a little tiny part. It's huge, and it's right on the north end of the Surprise area. And kind of, I think parts of the 55+ maybe like blend in to Surprise. It feels like everyone's kind of using the same amenities, definitely. So keep that in mind. But point being is that if you hate loud noises and you're super, super sensitive to sound, that might really, really upset you whenever you move there and you hate it. Especially, I've had clients in the past who are like, oh no, that's way too loud. Me, like I said, I don't even notice it anymore. I've had clients who didn't know it was there, and then they noticed it after, and then they still did it. We're just like, whatever. Or they say it sounds like freedom. Whatever you guys want to think about it is totally up to you. I just want you to be aware of it, because that could be a deal breaker for you if you're thinking about Surprise. All right guys, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, pretty please hit the thumbs up button. It really helps out my channel and gets my video pushed to more people like you. If you have questions and you're ready to relocate, go ahead and reach out. My number and email are popping up. I would love to assist you guys. And don't forget to subscribe. I post videos every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. And until next time guys, I'll see you later. Bye.